good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the All I Do Is Win podcast. I'm your host, Terrence Jones. So happy to be here again today. And we're in our studio once again. And I'm not here alone. I'm here with my extraordinary, impactful, powerful men on the sofa.
I like that. Men on the sofa.
Men on the sofa, huh? Is that? Can we change the name of the pod to Men on the Sofa?
It's a little too close to Men on Film.
Yeah,
but
you
thought that?
Yeah,
see,
we're
we're gonna have to work on that. We'll work on that.
Okay, we'll work on it.
Next one.
We'll see.
Hated it.
We'll see. We'll see what I feel the next time we come to that spot. Because I don't like to do scripts, so it's going to be like whatever emerges.
Okay.
Right. But that's also scary too.
Yeah.
Anything's viable to be said. But tell everybody who you are, just in case it's their first time.
What's up, man? Stewart Pradia, head men's basketball coach at Rutgers Camden, originally from Houston, Texas.
Thank you, Stu. Anthony Jones, Rutgers instructor, father of three, and excited to be back on the podcast.
Excellent. So today, without any delay, we're going to jump right in. And this is really, we're jumping in because we're continuing a conversation that we had the last time we came together. And it was before talking about situationships versus success. And I thought that was really dope, the way that we talked about how like the culture today of having situationships and living in sync with people with this non-committal perspective where it's like, hey, we'll be in situations together, but we won't really be committed together. How that trickles over into your professional life, how it trickles over into your academic success and things of that nature. And today I want to double down on that. Today we're going to talk about hookup culture, right? And the impact that hookup culture has on us on the inside out, but how that also has run off and run over into these other areas. So I kind of want to share a story about a student of mine. So I had a student who was a phenomenal, when I say phenomenal person, like just a dope human being, gave time to volunteer, was a straight A student, was actually in school to be a doctor. So she was a bio major and was doing a lot of different things to really just enhance herself and to give back to the community. But her demise began when she got involved with the hookup culture. And it wasn't necessarily one particular relationship. And she was so transparent. She would say, oh yeah, I met this person. I met that person. And I say, oh, so what happened with the last person? Oh, no, that was last week. Now it's this week. And she was very transparent because, she has agency to do so and move how she felt.
Absolutely.
But then she started changing the way that she showed up for the program and for the work. And then even for her future, where she decided one day, you know what? I think I'm going to do something else. And so I'm like, what is something else? What do you mean? I don't want to go to school anymore. Mind you, 4.0 student, bio major, killing it, a part of everything, a leader, and walked away from her transcript that other people would pay for because it didn't feel like the best move anymore. Like there was no long-term justifiable solution or even direction. It's just, this ain't what I'm feeling anymore. And I kind of wanted to start off just talking about like just normalizing or what's the environment that we're in that's normalizing the hookup culture anyway.
So I've got a question.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
okay. Because I'm just looking for more context from this young lady. So it was like her pursuit of these just kind of hedonistic relationships that decided that she was done with school. What year was she in?
She was a junior.
So she was almost done, and she just decided
4.0.
Like, did she have a plan or like what?
Well, let me backtrack, right? So just to make sure that I set the tone accurately as much as possible, even though this is completely anonymous,
Yeah.
I'd have to push back a little bit on hedonist because I don't know what those engagements look like. But I will say that the most unstable part of her life was her social relationships.
Yeah.
Where that was the most other areas of her life were pretty consistent. They showed discipline. Socially, she was all over the place.
Yeah.
Before that, she was locked in.
Yeah.
Where you knew who her friends were. If she was out, it was probably the same maybe circle of 3 to 5 people, and that was her group. When that thing changed for her socially, then everything changed for her in other areas too.
I only say hedonistic just because like from my understanding of the word, it's just doing what you feel. Whatever, or makes you
That's
feel
true.
good.
That's true.
And that's
And you know what? And I support that. I just know that some of our audience may automatically get hypersexual.
Right.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I'm just talking because it could look a bunch of different ways.
No, you're right.
The main three.
You're right. This is what happens
drugs, sex, alcohol.
This is what happens when you get educators in the room.
My fault.
Like we're gonna look at not just
yeah.
the context, but just people who's in the room. I'm looking at like the listeners as like the classroom.
Yeah,
how do you
for sure.
How do you set it for every chair in the room?
For sure.
But I got you. I'm with you.
For sure. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that I think and it's good to define it, and I like the definition that that you just brought up, because I think what came to mind is that it's not just college students. It could be faculty, anyone in any profession. But I think when you start to lose purpose and you start to be with a particular thing, or like you said, you hook up to a certain crowd, you hook up to a certain person. I think it's really critical, because that person, right, which we all know, right, we sometimes we tell our kids, or you coach, students, like who you hang out with is a critical component of where your future is going, right? So, I mean, I think that is probably the foundational piece. Well, whether it be this young lady or someone else, is that I always try to ask, like, if my son comes into the house and it's, sounds a little bit off, it's like, who you hanging with? Yeah. Right, like who's influencing you, right? And sometimes I don't think we put enough emphasis on, right, like who our circle is, to kind of, you start to drift.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
agree.
That's
I agree.
good.
I know. It's funny. I always joke, like I call it like most of my friends like really successful, and I've always kind of heard that, like, yo, who you're in the room with? You smartest person in the room, most successful. You're probably in the wrong room. And so I purposely like put myself around people that I joke about, like my rich friends or whatever, but it's good being around people that, have been successful in their careers, in their marriages, raising kids, that stuff, because I'm just sitting there soaking it up, as opposed to, maybe somebody that's a little less, like you said, more hooked up into very casual things. I think that's how we could see it today. You asked the question why it's like that. I wish I had the answers for you. I just think because there's so many options, that it's very. I remember when I lived in New York, I always thought dating was really easy, but actually finding a partner was really hard.
Yeah,
because it was like.
What part of New York?
I was in Jersey. I lived in Jersey City, lived in Secaucus, but I was all through up in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Harlem, wherever it was going down.
We have to make that distinction, because I'm from Harlem. And sometimes when people talk, and
Harlem did not create the world.
I'll let Anthony tell you where he's from. But when somebody says New York, sometimes somebody could be from Schenectady or
Poughkeepsie.
Right.
One of my good friends, Dr. Nathaniel Wright. Yeah, he claims New York, but he's really from like upstate somewhere.
Right, that's a different life.
I get it.
I'll pass the mic over to Anthony.
Where you from? Where you from?
From Queens, but my mom was born and raised in Harlem.
Okay.
Okay.
I can.
5 boroughs.
Yeah. I can get it. No, I was Manhattan, Brooklyn. Brooklyn was popping off, and Harlem, of course, was jumping. So,
Yeah.
But the commitment piece, right, Stu, that you just mentioned, I think that's also a good leverage point too, right? It's like it's the access, right? I think we have more and more access now, especially if we're talking about students coming in. It's like I'm dating myself, but we had wasn't even Facebook out.
Black Planet.
Black Planet.
They
forget about
Mi Gente.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Black Planet, Mi Gente, and MySpace.
And you have to write source code to get.
Yo, we were coding. Though.
Yes.
People were actually coding.
Yeah, like I want diamonds to fall in the back.
Like
so HTTP.
Bro, we were coding.
/
And they took it away. The man took it away.
But the furthest you might have went, like going to Rutgers, I might go sometimes, maybe to Prince, may go to Temple, right? Nowadays, I mean, you don't even have to go to the college campus.
Yeah, you can
DM, show up at the door, take the, you know what I mean? So the access. So I think the access, not always, but I do think it can lessen the commitment.
For sure.
To relationship wise.
But I think that's a powerful point, and I love how Stu set that up, because you mentioned being in New York and the number of people in general being so much. Like you can't imagine like taking the same route every single day, but always seeing somebody different if you're from the suburbs. Normally you see the same people. Sometimes I live in the suburbs now. I see the same cars on the road every single day,
Jeez,
just
at the
because
same time.
because our schedule is that much in sync that I know I'm gonna see a certain person if I pull into the drive-through, or it's so much. The interactions are so much smaller than what they were in a city environment. So you're surrounded by so many more options, but then it gives you it puts you in an environment where it's harder to recognize quality. You're in a quantity space. And to your point, and I'll even keep it personal. When I was dating, because I'm married now, married for almost 10 years. I'm happily married. I got to put that in there.
Yeah.
Happily married to a beautiful woman, and her name's Brittany. This is the first time I've talked about you on the pod. So, hey, how you doing, love? And I don't even think she watches this stuff.
Queen.
So this is, that's my queen. That's her name in my phone.
She'll watch now, though.
Well, yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
Maybe, or maybe not, because she don't be on.
That's fair. She don't be on there like that.
Right. It's for somebody. But in either case, when I moved to South Jersey, I was still single, right?
Yeah.
And there was a certain way that I pursued when I was in the city environment, and I had to become more intentional when I moved to the suburbs because there was less interactions to be had. So it was more of a sense of urgency where it's like, no, I have to ask her for her number today.
Because
if I don't see her today, I may not see her or someone like her again for the next 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then that created a certain level of fire where it's like, I gotta go right now, regardless of the circumstances being ideal.
I'm taking my shot.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my shot.
Yeah.
But I feel like, to your point, when it comes to relationships nowadays, the fact that you can just put in your phone, scroll through, you can set your demographic, height, weight, region, all these different things. You literally have a Rolodex. Back in the day, to have numbers, or which equates to access, that was a badge of honor back in the day. So I got this many numbers. You know, we talking back 90s, early 2000, wow, and all that. But I'm saying, like, nowadays, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Because people are so accessible through these systems that we operate in, where everybody's expendable.
The dating
Anybody
apps.
feels replaceable.
I love that was good. Expendable.
Yeah. No, the dating apps, like, it's swipe.
Yeah,
even there's even tiers to the search. So they've started to. I don't know if y'all familiar with this.
Tell us.
So
Educate me.
when I was swiping, right? I haven't swiped in it's probably been a year since I've swiped.
Okay.
You've got the Tinder, which is just apparently that's where everybody's just looking up to hook up, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you just swiping like you know what it is in Tinder.
Okay.
Bumble is the one that was always really good to me. I met a girlfriend on there, so like it was good for me.
Okay.
But
We don't have any sponsors. So.
We could. The women actually have to make the first move, and so I think they've recently changed it, but it was a little bit more like up. So these are people looking for relationships, but you got like Hinge. I've never been on Hinge. I believe there's like There's more exclusive ones like The League, and there's other. I don't know. I might not be in the tax break, but no, there's so. I mean, it's basically tech, right? We talked about last time how what does the market want? What does the market need?
Yeah.
Like, and putting something out there to sell it. And I think it's technology. While we talk about has given us more access and given us more options, it's also helped to kind of like refine the search.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because on these profiles, you can see. Like, I could tell when somebody wasn't Christian, or I forgot what other ones were deal breakers, or they just said something crazy in their profile or whatever. It was just, no, I already know it ain't what time it is. And so it kind of helps with that in some ways, but I think it's just, again, about most things, balance. You know what I mean? Like, if we're too far one way or we're too far the other, like you talked about your student that start, like, she could have probably balanced that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, this social life is fun, but I also need to concentrate on my future. And I think sometimes people just, we get too far out of bounds. Maybe it's because we don't have guardrails or we don't have a community to help us. But it can't just be, there's too many options. You know what I mean?
But let me hop in there.
Okay.
That's why I think this conversation is so important, because even with the student, it wasn't like she left school for the relationships, but the relationships, that element of her life, ended up being the most important to her in that moment. Everything else was coming easy.
Right.
She was already academic. She was a sharp mind. She was a giver. So she's doing all the things that for other folks are hard. But because the relationship side was an area that she struggled in, because she was thriving, she changed her principles to match the area where she was at greatest deficit.
Yeah.
And those principles changed the rest of her life because when you apply those same principles of hookup culture, of being dismissive of people and dismissive of things that were of value at one moment and feeling like, oh, it's exchangeable, I'll be all right, I'll get another person, or I'll be able to swipe and find another person that looks just the same way, whatever my way is.
Yeah.
I'll be able to find another one in no time. I'll be able to find happiness again. And the truth is, a lot of us are tempted and are trying to. A lot of our students, a lot of our staff, professionals are unhappy because they're thinking that what they're doing is about finding some type of satisfaction. But if your principles don't line up with the way that you'll get to success, you end up living a depraved life where no matter what you do, no matter what grade you get, what major you choose, what promotion you find, I'm still unhappy.
Yeah, my pastor talks about that all the time, about how as human beings you can comfort, right? Like we can strive for that comfort, whatever that comfort comes from. But the reality is, like, anything worth having is like hard. Like I talk to married friends, like I have my single problems, but I talk to my married friends, and while we don't have the same problems, like there's still stuff you got to work through. You know, you've committed to this person, and now it's, you know, we think about all the happy things and all the trips we'll take and all the, but it's like, no,
the day-to-day.
Like, like there's a lot of like hard stuff when I get on this person's nerves, or they do something wild, or we just start changing as people, like we're destined to do if we're continuing to grow. Like, how do we like come back to each other and you know, adjust to those changes? And I think we've gotten to this place in culture where, you know, we just want what we want. We want it to feel good, and we don't want any of the hard stuff, and we don't want any of the work. And yes, it's dangerous. I think that's at the core of a lot of, you know, what you're talking about, this hookup. It's just, it's easy, it's quick, but, you know, it's fleeting. And, you know, when you get, you know, 50 years old and, you know, you by yourself, you're unhappy, and you look back, well, like all those decisions that, you know, you probably in those 10 people you dissed in your 30s or 40s or whatever, there was somebody in there that probably you just giving a little time to, you know what I mean? So.
And I like that, Stu and T, because what's that Jay-Z lyric, right? Like, you try to find another hole, right? I'm paraphrasing, right? But like, there's only one Jay-Z.
Yeah.
You know, if you go back and listen to his music, you know, he's special. Yeah. You can't replace that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You might get another Jay-Z 30 years from now, 40, you might never. So I think, to your point, is that I think when you lack the commitment to someone, you start to T's point, the person becomes expendable based upon what you think is what you need. But I think in any relationship, when you commit, then you start to realize, oh, okay, I didn't know I needed that. But because I committed to this, this is now something that is helping me out, right? But if you let it go too quickly, my mom used to always say, you're just gonna repeat the process. Go back, the monopoly, go back to, you know, the beginning.
Do not collect 200.
Right.
Go back.
Go back.
But I think that speaks to, because there's a lot of different angles with this that I think we're touching on, but I think it's also, we don't say FOMO as much anymore, but, you know, the fear of missing out, the fear of not having enough options sometimes seeps into our lives, let's say relationally, but then also in academic and professional spaces. And I think a lot of times when we think about the options that we want to have, this might be a corny reference, but I like HGTV. Not as much now as I used to.
Home and Garden?
Home and Garden television.
Good for you, brother. You're a homeowner.
Wait, what?
Good for you. That's what these sandals are. They the gardening sandals. That's good.
Wait, so you gonna pivot?
What do you mean? That's a big up.
Wait, was that a pivot?
That's a big up.
That was a hard.
That's a big up. What you mean?
You took off my sandals.
I can tell. I can tell. The crunchy John.
Hey, Pray, I don't know if you can zoom in. You probably can't, but please, I was gonna tell you, don't zoom in on my sandals.
No, they nice, bro. That's a good leather.
They good.
That's a good. No, it's a good. You know.
All right.
They new too. I can see the bottom.
They good.
They fresh.
Just got those.
No, these actually 2 years in the game.
Okay, you just ain't really. Okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
I don't normally pull them out.
Yeah,
I don't normally pull them out.
I like it.
But because I have options.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Because I have options, they look like they're new, even though they're not, right?
That's what it is.
So maybe we're talking about me now. But when we talk about HDTV, one of the things that always resonated with me was how you have someone who's looking for a house. They got a lot of shows where people are looking to find a house that they want to purchase.
Yep.
And they'll look at so many houses, hundreds of houses sometimes. And it's like, why are they looking at so many houses?
Right.
And this one real estate agent told the person one day, he says, listen, I can't help you find the perfect house.
I saw that. Yeah.
You saw that?
Yeah.
I don't remember which episode it was, episode 1045 or something. 'Cause they got
season 25, whatever, right, yeah.
But he says, you don't need to see every house. You just need to find one house.
Yes.
Because you can only move into one. And sometimes it's like we want to be in spaces that are so flooded with options, and we'll think that makes it valuable, when really all you need is one. And in the same way, sometimes we need to just make one decision. We need to have good counsel around us. Who do we respect? Who do we admire? Who do we know has a track record of making good decisions, right? Because a lot of times, too, when it comes to this, we'll have a circle of people, and our social circle, our professional circle, are a bunch of poor decision makers. People who have failed or have failed multiple times in different ways or are unsatisfied, and we're going to them, talking about our relationship. Your relationship is trash.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to you about what's going on in my, absolutely not. You're professionally poor.
Yeah.
You're making money every week, but you're not happy. You're not satisfied. So like, what are we doing here?
I will say this, pushing back a little bit.
Go ahead.
I don't think, because failure's I won't say it's a good thing, but growth doesn't come without pain.
Yeah.
And usually doesn't come without failure in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And so I think it's the discernment is really important to have.
That's
when
good.
you, because even in our circle of friends, right? Like you've been through stuff. Would you say that your expertise or your experience is discounted because you made some bad mistakes?
You know, I'm glad you said that, because I think what happens a lot of times is we'll find people who fail, but all they do is fail.
Agreed. And I think it's about, like you said before, the process. Like, because sometimes, like, the processes aren't flawless, right? Like, I look at, coaching, obviously, I get tested 25 times a year, where it's like, no, I knew the game plan was right, but maybe, that other guy just went off for, it sometimes, it doesn't work. It don't work every time.
Right.
But like you said, if it's somebody, and I think we're in agreement on this.
We are, absolutely.
If this person has no plan, has no purpose, things are random, so that, sometimes it works out, but most of the times, even when it works out, they don't really know why.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's where it's like, I don't know if I trust that person's judgment.
See, but I think that's an excellent point, regardless of, like, context, because I think that a lot of times people navigate things the same way, where we'll give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Or we won't give people, I think from the angle that you presented, I'm gonna throw this out there, if you don't like it, throw it back. But if you have a situation where you feel like you're not measuring up, I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves the grace that you're talking about to say, I'm just in a process of finding, of discovering, of hitting a hard time, which means I can still come over this hard time, over this obstacle, and get to somewhere where I can find success. A lot of times it'll almost be, woe is me. This is all I can be, is this pit that I'm in right now.
But I think that's where T goes back full circle, right? Which is, if we're even talking academics, right? If you're the person that has that CD or failing the class, I'm going to say 8 out of 10 times, if you leave it up to that student's own devices, they are going to go to someone to affirm the reason why they're getting that C, D, or F. It's the professor's fault.
Professor,
It's because this, right? The rare person says, no, let me go to Stu and T that has the A and say, hey, give me feedback on what I need to do to get to that point. So I think that's where kind of the connection of what both of you, I think, are saying too, is that that's rare, right? I don't see too many people even in life where they're struggling even through the process and will say, well, Stu T, like, I feel that, I've been divorced 4 times. What's up?
Right.
It's like, no, it's the other person's fault. Right?
It's
you know what I mean?
I don't know. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and he was talking about how individualism is harming society as a whole. And this, like, lack of accountability. I'm with you 100%, where, like, people rarely take responsibility. Like, I take responsibility past sometimes what it should be, and just so I can alleviate, you know what I mean? Because once you take control of the situation and you're like, look, what could I have done to be better? Sometimes you come to it like, you know what? Like, I did everything I could. Like, I've done everything I could, anything reasonable, and, you know, you just got to ride with it from there on. And then it's taking that L, but learning from it. But sometimes people, like you said, be dead wrong, be making the same mistake over and over and over again. But it's always somebody else's fault. It's always, you know, that's,
but even to that point, if you have a circle of friends and you have someone who exists this way, it's impossible for you to not be that way too, and be okay with that type of a lifestyle. We've talked about things offline where we will challenge each other. Any one of us will challenge each other if something that we're saying, doing, or thinking doesn't match the goals that we have. A lot of times our circles are spaces where we just feel comfortable once again.
They're echo chambers.
Yes.
Where
Absolutely.
everybody telling you, but you need people to be like, yo, bro, you wild.
Right.
You're bugging.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
But to be able to receive that you bugging, you have to have some proof and evidence of you making good decisions anyway, which kind of brings us, once again, I feel like we're in the as the world turns.
Right.
That's an old reference. I said as the world turns.
I'm 44 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay, so I'm in the middle. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Okay, cool.
We all in that same. I mean, you talking men on film.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Right,
I don't think he could watch it yet. That's why he didn't get the reference. You know
No, I never seen that.
Yeah, he didn't know.
Living Color?
You could tell I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I watched the Living Color.
Color,
But
yeah.
They ain't like, but he was, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was 12. We knew what was going on.
Okay,
He was only
okay.
10.
That's a big
You know what I'm
difference.
saying? Yeah, it's a big difference.
Because those are the kind of shows you watch, but you don't. But you have to have a certain level of understanding. Like if you're watching Martin at 8, there's gonna be a lot of jokes you're not gonna get till you're 18.
Well, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
And you was 14.
And also too, it depends on the household you raised in.
True.
Everybody is
Facts.
not, you know, you grow up in a certain household, you not watching Sunday night.
I've met so many people that were not allowed to watch The Simpsons, like as adults. You know what I mean?
As
Like,
adults
what, no,
can't watch it?
Sorry. They
you
as
met them
adults
as an
have
adult.
I
But
met them
as
as
a child.
They were not allowed to watch The Simpsons, which is why. And my mom was pretty strict, but like I don't know if she just thought it was a cartoon or whatever. But yeah.
Did you have siblings?
No, it was just me. Funny enough, I had
that makes sense then.
I've got a brother and a sister. We all have the same dad, different moms, raised in different households.
Wow.
My brother is younger than me, but was allowed to watch Dirty Dancing. My mother would not like. She forbade us to like. Even if I went over their house, you cannot watch Dirty Dancing.
Hey, listen, our age is showing for real.
It's
Like,
crazy.
all
It's crazy.
all these references.
Sorry.
The edit, we got the
Patrick
edit.
Swayze.
Yeah, like who?
And put
He
some
passed?
references. He been
don't-
Did
passed.
Swayze pass?
He been
He
passed.
passed, right?
Yeah.
R.I.P. Patrick Swayze, man. Dang,
How do we get here?
that's
Right.
crazy.
Right.
You gonna land it? You ready?
Rewind
You ready?
the tape,
You ready? Boom!
Right. How do we get here?
We are approaching Philadelphia International Airport.
Hey, but listen, we're gonna land the plane though, because like I said, this one ain't gonna be too long. But what I really think is, as we talk about the hookup culture, as we talk about people being expendable, as we talk about our circle influencing our norms and all these different things, I think there's a lot of people who don't necessarily realize that the way that they're functioning principally, not necessarily with the details. I feel like we have, to your point, we don't live in a culture that requires accountability of really anyone. You can find a space. Your algorithm will switch to whatever it is that you like, and you will constantly be fed whatever it is that you love or whatever it is that you hate on repeat over and over and over again, where you can believe that your world should match your thought life.
Yeah.
Which makes it harder to evolve as well, which makes it harder to change because there's really not much pushing back on that. What would you tell to somebody as we, close this thing out today, who is navigating a lifestyle where they're just not happy, but they also have areas in their life where they are not committed or not accountable to themselves?
I was going to suggest a part 3 where we discuss principles of,
You giving me more work? I thought you was
It was
gonna
just
say
a
something
suggest
to the people.
You see what happens when you try to hold a brother accountable?
right.
You know what I mean? And you try, you know what I'm saying?
Put it right back
You
to
see what I'm
you.
saying? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's human nature.
Like, dang, man. Dang, the sauce. You know what I mean? Like, the sauce, man.
All right, run that back.
I would just say to one, be very honest and self-aware. And I think where that starts is you have to have people around you that know what they're talking about, which I would use discernment of, look at their track record. What have they done? Have differences of opinions in your life, but try and be as self-aware and honest with yourself as possible. But also, have people to reinforce that just don't tell you that everything's okay, you're good, that aren't afraid to hold you accountable and tell you things about yourself, and hold you accountable when what you say and what you do not align.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah, I think I'll take it from the other side, maybe, Stu. Whereas if you are in a circle that is constantly affirming the stuff that you're maybe you should not be doing, and you're kind of lost and unhappy, I think sometimes it's hard to get out of that cycle. So I would just say, hopefully, that someone that you're close to, a family member, and you'll really just open up and listen, whether that means going to a church, a mosque, having someone speak to you, and then also professional help.
Mm-hmm.
I think one good thing about if you find a really good counselor is that they can actually listen to you and give you some feedback that you might be willing to take, because it's not so close, right? It's not a close friend. It's maybe not your mother, your dad, but it is somebody that is far enough away that can kind of see something, and you may be able to take it. So I think I'm just big on just trying to find some professional help if you're not happy, to kind of point you in a direction.
Nice.
For sure.
Nice. I think y'all just said it all, man. I definitely think there's still even some more layers to this, so I think you do have a good point that a part 3 may be in the works, because there's a lot of areas that we can go down, and I like that constant symmetry, dancing between relationship and academic and professional pursuits, because they're really intertwined, right?
For sure.
When we talk about principles, you can't get beyond the principles that you live by, regardless of where you want to go, what you want to do. The outcomes, what you put in the seed is going to produce the harvest.
For sure.
And a lot of times I don't think we recognize that. We just expect a certain, we're putting watermelon seeds in the ground, but we're expecting a corn crop.
Right.
Right.
And it's like, it's never going to happen that way.
Absolutely.
So you gave me some good food for thought today, too, things I can think about and reframe even in my own thinking about life. So I appreciate y'all for that. And this has been another episode of the All I Do Is Win podcast. Until next time, peace.